Baseball, hardball, the show, America's pastime. With 11.5 million players throughout the U.S. of all ages, baseball remains the fourth most popular team sport. The game remains embedded in our culture, and so do its weird tactics, lingo, and players. As Mr. Butler once said, baseball lends itself to math more than any other sport because there is a severely limited number of things that can happen after the pitch is thrown. If baseball lends itself so well to math, how often is it used, you may ask? Well, until 2000, the answer was not very much at all. MLB scouts would go out and look for the most flamboyant, athletic players that could smash the meatball pitch and max out the radar gun. Some of these players would be straight out of high school, no experience with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. This imperfect view of prospects would lead to them struggling in the big leagues, even if they were a five-tool player. Billy Beane was these prospects, and after a few years of bouncing around the big leagues, he decided to go out and get into managing and scouting. While Beane was still playing in 1990, the A's had the biggest payroll in baseball and won the World Series because of it. 5 years later, when the owner of that team passed away, the payroll was slashed by the new owner in an effort to squeeze every last dollar out of the club. With no money to spend, the Oakland A's began looking for other ways to find talent, but at a cheap price. They turned to the stats as opposed to conventional scouting methods. After employing Paul DePasta, a man with no baseball experience but a degree from Yale, Beane began to draft based on the overlooked numbers, like on-base percentage or slugging percentage, drafting for runs, not talent. When the season began, this crazy way of drafting began to pay off. The year Beane employed sabermetrics, the art of using statistics in baseball, the team's winning percentage jumped by 5%. Slowly but surely, Beane's method became more and more effective, leading the A's to many unheard-of feats, like making the playoffs for 5 years in a row, and at the team's peak, winning over 100 games per season. The MLB began to recognize this method was effective and slowly picked up and adapted its use. Nowadays, Beane has changed his sabermetrics from offense to defense in an attempt to find more of baseball's hidden prospects. Young players, instead of focusing on throwing as fast as possible, now focus on the footwork and the technique. Instead of trying to smash a baseball, they look to get on base. Billy Beane has changed the face of baseball forever.